pleasure. So please,
Yeah, I mean, I can totally understand.
yeah.
Everyone has some guilty pleasure. So
What's yours? What's yours?
I'm so guilty, so I'm not even gonna tell what is my guilty
No, you
pleasure.
have to. All right. Greetings, employees of Dunder Mifflin. This is the second episode of Lehman Brothers podcast, and this is an unusual episode. So we are not going to talk about Hirsch for a change, because and that's a good thing, because congratulations are in order, Hirsch. You have now finally become a CA. So congrats.
Yeah,
Thank you,
congratulations.
thank you, thank you.
And so yeah, so we don't have to continue that discussion now, or we don't have to revisit that ever again. And if I've heard the news, you're also soon, you'll also be joining a company,
Yes,
or starting a job soon, yeah.
yes.
So
And next week,
perfect. All right, so perfect start to 2021. Great
great start.
news. And with that, I'll also introduce the third person who we have today on our podcast. So he's Sarthak. So he's my real life brother, unlike Hirsch, who is not. And so, and I know it's hard to. I mean, you guys would have already guessed it, because we just look so much alike. We are like literally look like twins. So anyway, so welcome Sarthak to the Lehman Brothers podcast. How's it? Yeah, how do you feel?
Yeah, great. I'm always excited about talking about TV series and movies and pop culture in general. So yeah, it's amazing.
And
Let's just start.
that's our subject. So you've said it. Yeah. So let's jump right in. Right. And Hirsch, if at any point during this podcast you have no idea what we are talking about, just let us know, because I'm pretty sure in the last 5 years you would have missed a lot of things which has happened in pop culture, and I think some of the things would have started and ended as well during those 5 years. I'm pretty sure, because the industry moves so fast. So yeah, I mean, how do you feel? I mean, okay, so before we even go to that discussion, have you seen any movies in last 5 years, or how many have you seen?
लास्ट 3 सालों से आई मीन कोई मैंने वो बस स्कैम 1992 देखा हुआ है बस। उससे पहले तो शायद कोई मूवी भी मैंने नहीं देखी। स्कैम
Okay,
स्कैम
so
मूवी
at least, okay, so that's good. I mean, that's a good show. So at least you spend your time pretty
अरे
well. So you
Yeah,
didn't
probably
Corona-
one of the best indie web series in last year.
exactly in last, I think in
Probably decade. Yeah.
yeah. So I even for the next few years, if you rank Hindi TV series or web series, I think that will be on top 5 for
वो
sure.
अच्छी रहेगी। मैं
Definitely,
प्लेनेट अर्थ भी देखा हुआ है। प्लेनेट अर्थ में बहुत देखता था।
Okay, so that's good. Pretty depressing, but it's good that I mean, yeah, it's
नेटफ्लिक्स पे शायद शो था ना उसका, प्लेनेट अर्थ 2 इज अ
yeah,
मोस्ट
Yeah, Planet Earth too. Yeah.
आई एम ओडी क्या था वो उसके
No,
टॉप रैंकिंग
it's
में।
never
I'm not
like
sure. I'm not big on nature documentaries, so or documentaries or
no, yeah. We only watch it for the cinematography and Hans Zimmer's background score. That's it. We don't watch it
True,
for
yeah.
education purposes. So that's our take on nature documentaries, and of course, it's a bread and butter of David Attenborough, Sir David Attenborough. So we don't have to say anything about him. Anyway, so okay, so Harsh, we'll try to give you some context of whatever we are talking about, or some clues of what's been going on. But yeah, let's just go right into it. The Snyder Cut. So initial thoughts, Sarthak, what do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, as you already know, I'm like hardcore DC fan and also like a huge Zack Snyder fan. So yeah, I've watched Zack Snyder Justice like around 4 times, 3 times in color and 1 time in black and white. So because the black and white edition is called Justice is Gray edition. So yeah, I'm a huge fan. And yeah, I mean the Justice is Gray edition is amazing. Like cinematography, it looks phenomenal. And as I think Snyder tweeted a couple of days ago, there are also some differences between the color edition and Justice's Gray edition. So I think if you remember in the trailer, Joker says the line "We live in a society," which was not in the movie. And
Yeah.
at that time, Warner Brothers, I think, said that it was just for marketing purpose or something. But as it turns out, it is in the Justice's Gray edition. So I think Snyder
Okay.
tweeted the video, the small
Yeah.
clip. So I think there are a little
Yeah.
bit difference, but yeah, overall it's basically this 99.99% same film. But yeah, I mean, if you have not seen any black and white movie, this is a great way to start. I mean, it's an amazing experience, even in black and white. It looks amazing. Yeah.
Okay, so that's good to know. Yeah, definitely. I saw the tweet from Snyder saying that this line
Mhm.
is now in the Gray edition, and it's got a couple of extra dialogues from the Joker and Batman as well. So it's a
True. Yeah.
good little addition to the Nightmare epilogue that we got in the Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
So Harsh, again for you. So Snyder Cut is. So do you know about a movie called Justice League?
Justice League पता है भाई.
Yeah, so that came out in 2017. So just a brief context for you. So when that movie came out, the director of the movie was changed at the very last minute before the release of the movie, and the studio completely fucked up. They changed the movie entirely because of the new director, and they had a new, they had something else in the mind. And the movie that got released was so bad that literally millions of people asked for the original director's cut of the movie. Now, I don't think this has happened ever in the industry, or ever in the movie industry. For 3 or 4 years continuously, people trended the hashtag release the Snyder Cut. So Snyder is the name of the director, and that alarmed the studio so much that they actually decided to release the Snyder Cut on the streaming service.
Original जो cut हुआ था वो वाला original जो director
Yes,
ने cut किया था.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it's a 4-hour movie. So when Sarthak said he's watched it 4 times, that means he's literally spent 16 hours watching one movie of Zack Snyder, which is worth it. I don't think that's
No regrets.
I don't think that's excessive at all. I've watched it 2 times, and I'm trying to find time to watch it the 3rd time. So it's definitely worth it. So I think Harsh, if you want to come back to the pop culture scene, if you want to come back from the break that you've had for the 5 years, this is the best movie to watch. And yeah, I think you'll love it. So yeah,
just to add something about this director's cut, because I think this is not actually the first time. As far as I know, there were 2 other movies for which the director's cut was released, but the circumstances were vastly different. So for example, the one was Superman. It was from in 70s. So Richard Donner's Superman. When it was released, I think there was some production problems and everything. So after almost 30 or 40 years, Warner Brothers released the Richard Donner's Superman, I think around 2005 or something, in 2000s. And the second is, I think, Blade Runner from
Ridley Scott.
I forgot the name. Ridley Scott, yeah. So that movie was released around 80s, in like early 80s. And then I think there were like 3 or 4 different endings for the movie. So I think Scott released the director's cut after 20 years or something. So I think it has a little bit different ending. But still, these are not completely different movie like Zack Snyder's Justice League, because this is like almost completely different movie. Only the, let's say, main plot points were in the Justice League, or shall we say Justice League, and then the movie, everything was entirely different. The tone, the, let's say, color grading, everything was different. Even the soundtrack was changed from Junkie XL to Danny Elfman. So probably one of the worst soundtrack I've ever heard in DC movie, which are like really famous for their soundtracks. So that was also a very big disappointment. And yeah.
So I think when I say the first time, it's definitely, I mean, we've definitely seen a lot of director's cut over the years, but this is where you had a different director in the first instance, in the theatrical cut, and then people rebelled for getting the original version, and that's why I'm thinking this might be the first ever scenario of this. Because Blade Runner, when it was released, it was still a Ridley Scott movie in the theater. It was not a different director. Or maybe the Superman one, I'm not sure on the history, but yeah, it might have been the same director. This is where you had 2 completely different movies, as you pointed out, and then the one release now in 2021 is the best one, or is the one which the fans deserved. So, all right, so kudos to WB for that. But then I think the very next week or in the next 2 days itself, they came out and said they're not going to continue the Snyderverse. So what do you
Yeah.
think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it was pre-planned, right? Because I think the movie was released on Thursday, and on
Yes,
Monday they gave interview to Variety or Hollywood Reporter. I think Warner Media CEO,
it
or
was
I'm not
Variety, I
sure
think.
about the position. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think her name is N. So what she said is like, we are very happy that Zack Snyder had a chance to complete his trilogy, which is completely
yeah,
false because Snyder has repeatedly said that the movie arc was for like the entire
five.
plot point was for 5 movies. So first was Man
Yes,
of Steel,
yeah,
Batman v Superman, Justice League 1, and then second and third. So obviously there were
yeah,
also cliffhangers in the first Justice League movie. So, but I think that just proves that studio was not at all interested continuing Zack's vision even before it was released on HBO Max. So I think it wouldn't have mattered even if it was successful or not. And there are like couple of things. So for example, if it failed, let's say that no one watched Justice League, so Warner Brothers or HBO Max would never say that it failed, because then they have to answer the investor that why they invested 70 million more in this new version of the movie.
yeah,
And the
yeah,
second thing is, if they say that it was like a really huge thing for HBO Max, so many new subscription, and it was like a blockbuster for streaming service, then the main question is, then why are you not continuing the movie? So they
of
are,
course. Yeah.
let's say, stuck on both sides. They can't say it's failure, they can't say it's a success. So, but I think the
But
main problem or the thing is they just don't want to work with Zack Snyder. I think they don't believe in his vision or something. It's like more darker and grim or gritty universe, like more violence,
yes,
R-rated, realistic, compared to, let's say, little bit funny or like comedy kind of thing in MCU, which is the thing that people actually like for some reason. So
because it very much is a success, right? Snyder Cut. I mean, it is the.
true, yeah.
Uh, I mean, we've seen the tweets and we've seen the statistics, right? On most of the countries, this has been the most streamed movie
Exactly,
of
yeah.
that service of all time. So if I
Yeah,
talk
in the
about
history of
Australia,
that service. Yeah.
yeah, so I watched it on Binge. Now Binge, Snyder Cut is the most watched movie on Binge ever, and
Yeah.
that's.
I
I
think it's
mean,
same
if
for Canada also. There's a service called Crave, and in India it's Book My Show, where people actually
yeah,
rent it. I mean, it's kind of, let's say, unheard in India that people are actually paying to rent or buy a movie online
of
when
course,
they can easily pirate the movie. I know so many people who just easily can pirate the movie within like 2 hours of release on HBO Max, but they still chose to pay, let's say, 200 for rent or 600 to buy a movie which could have easily been pirated. So there's definitely not just interest, but people actually want to pay for this kind of thing. So in a
and
way, it
show,
actually proves
yeah,
that there is a kind of a demand not only in US but all over the world. But the
of
thing
course,
is,
yeah,
still the entire strategies revolve around, let's say, the entire strategy revolves around HBO Max, and HBO Max is unfortunately only available right now in US, and they are not giving us any numbers, so we wouldn't know like how many new subscription or subscriber were added because of the Justice League or something. But there were some, I think, facts that I think within that week or within that period when Snyder Cut was released, I think there were some like few 100% increase in app download in Android and App Store in HBO Max
wow,
and US. So there are some facts, but as I said, I think they can't say anything positive or negative because they are screwed either way. So I think they are just gonna, I
so
guess, let it slide, because you can just imagine like within few days the Snyder Cut was released and the hype was still very high and people were really excited. The article came in Variety that yeah, the Snyder Cut, the vision is complete, the trilogy is over, and now we'll just start with something new, multiverse or something like that. And then all of a sudden, Suicide Squad trailer and everything was released. So they were just, I guess, trying to distract DC fans that okay, you got what you wanted. Now just let's start with something else. Let's start with different movies like Batman or Suicide Squad. So I mean,
and
I still hope that they kind of restore the Snyderverse, which is the hashtag right now going on Twitter. But one of the main thing is, I think I heard somewhere that the thing is, Zack Snyder and Warner Brothers are not a really great, let's say, combination or kind of thing, that they don't have a really good relationship. So even if they actually said to Snyder that, yeah, we'll give you money and you can complete, or you can, let's say, continue your vision or project. The question is, should Snyder continue it? Because in past it hasn't worked out so great between them. So that's also a thing. And Snyder, I think has also a new movie coming in couple of months, Army of the Dead on Netflix. So maybe, I mean, even though I want, as much as I want to watch Snyder's vision and in DC universe, I also want that he is like mentally also really, healthy and everything. So it doesn't happen again, because I don't want him to go again with all this, bullshit circumstances and again, same and same scenario. So if everything is okay, then he should continue. Otherwise, I think he should move on, I suppose.
So I was thinking, even if WB wants to continue with the Snyderverse, the only way for them to continue with him is to give him full creative freedom, which is not possible. And that's the only way I think even Snyder would agree to it, and that's the only way we would get what we want from Snyder, because of course he's already got his storyboards, as we know, for the next 2 movies lined up, and the full arc of every single character in the Justice League, and also the new ones which are going to come. So I think that's the only way WB should continue with him, and if that's not going to happen, then I think it's good that we got the Snyder Cut, the 4-hour version, and then if we don't get anything more in that verse or in that universe, I think I'll be happy to just.
There are a couple of ways that the Snyderverse can continue. Like the biggest chance or possibility is that it can continue on HBO Max as a Snyderverse, and everything else, all the movies like Suicide Squad, the new Batman movie, and everything would, Flash, Aquaman 2, everything would continue as a theatrical release. So it could be that it's like already a DC multiverse. But also the problem is Snyder is also kind of a director who is big on theatrical. So I'm not sure that he would allow each and every project to be on HBO Max. This was maybe let's say only like a one type of instance where he just allowed that, okay, it's not possible to release it, not because just of Corona, but also it's like a 4-hour movie, and also it's R-rated movie. So R-rated 4-hour, it's kind of like really hard for people to convince that you should go to theater to watch this kind of movie. So it was a really good combination and good timing on Snyder's side that HBO Max was just about to launch, and they decided that this is a really good thing for them to launch the service and have this movie in the streaming service. But there's also a thing, and just to go one of the other things that I know is that I think you heard, or maybe I sent you the tweet about the Ava DuVernay's New Gods project.
So that was my next
because
question.
it's kind of a continuation to the story. So I just wanted to mention that, because this is also kind of a, let's say, hypocrisy or like a double side kind of a reasoning that Warner Brothers is right now giving to fans, which makes absolutely no sense. So the thing is, so just to give everyone a little bit of context, so Ava DuVernay is like she's a really good director. She, I think, directed her last movie was Wrinkle in Time for Disney. It's like I think she was the first African American lady who got budget more than 100 million for a movie. And I mean, she had done a couple of great projects. So I think DC hired Ava DuVernay to write.
13th was the documentary
I think
that
it was
she
a
directed
Netflix documentary, right?
For Netflix. And then there was another, I think, mini-series.
I think she directed Selma, which was not... there was some controversy with that. The movie was completely ignored in Oscar. She directed Selma. It was kind of with Martin Luther King and the whole movement. I have not seen the movie, but I've heard about it.
Selma did win, I think, if I'm not wrong, the original song with John Legend and Common. But I think you're right. I didn't see that movie. I've still not watched it. So it definitely was not marketed that way, which it should have been.
So I think what happened is
she also directed one other mini-series on Netflix about the Central Park 5. So 5 black men who were accused wrongly of, I think, a murder or a rape. And it's, again, not watched it. Definitely want to. So she's pretty good in what she does, and she's a really brilliant director. So she could have, I mean, it's bullshit that the studio just came out and said, oh, we are not now going to continue with this movie, because and I I'm sure the reason is it would have been connected very much within the Snyderverse or very much with
No, so
those kind
the
of
main thing
characters.
is because he was so good with other projects and in like his in her previous project, so WB decided and gave her this new gods. So there is
Yeah.
a legendary comic book writer called Jack Kirby, and he has written mostly for Marvel, but he has written a couple of stories for DC also. It's called Fourth World, and it's about new gods, so Darkseid and Apocalypse and many other things. So she was hired with, I think, another writer. I am blanking on his name. I think it's Tom Green or something. And they both started writing this movie in 2018. I think she was hired in 2018 by WB, and I think it took. I think she had like four or five drafts about this movie, and I think I sent you this tweet couple of months ago, right? That she was saying that I
She's
am right
still
now on my
working on
fourth
it.
draft about this movie.
Yeah.
And also the surprising or thing is that WB announced that this movie would, it's not, let's say, cancelled, but they are not moving forward with this project. And the weird thing is that they announced
What does
this
that
thing
mean?
on 1st of April. So
Yeah.
half of the people were saying it's April Fool joke, but then Eva also tweeted, and the other writers and the people who were already associated with the project, they also tweeted that unfortunately we are not moving forward with this project. And there was another project which was cancelled. It was Aquaman spin-off called The Trench. It was kind of a horror from James Wan, and this both were cancelled. But the reason for the New Gods cancellation was, I think, one of the most ridiculous reason I've ever heard. So what they are saying is that in Zack Snyder's Justice League, there was already a dark side, and New Gods also has dark side. So they are saying that people would be confused, and there is not that much difference. Let's say time difference between this movie and the New Gods movie. So people would be, let's say, confused, or they would be like, why there are two dark side, or what is the continuation problem or something. Now the most ridiculous part about this is this would make sense if they had decided to continue with Snyderverse, and then there is some kind of conflicts. But in what they are saying is, like, they are saying that Zack Snyder completed his vision, his so-called trilogy, so there is no continuation, and they are canceling other project because that some of the characters were already in Snyder Cut, which from their point of view is already finished. So I don't know what is going on there. So
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that was one of the most ridiculous
It's
reason,
bullshit.
or
It's
true. And to be honest, I was not that much excited about the Aquaman spin-off. So yeah, I'm not that much bummed
Yeah.
about it. But yeah, New Gods, I was really, really excited about this because I think it's one of the best stories from DC. And I mean, the reason I love DC compared to Marvel is Marvel, let's say, is more human. So the superheroes are like, let's say, Iron Man, Spider-Man, they are, let's say, human. But when it comes to DC, they are literally fucking gods. They're like like 90% of team can literally fly. They are immortal. They are living it for like thousands of years. They are literally gods. So in that sense, the New Gods movie would be like peak DC comics, like let's say dream dream for any fan. So I'm really bummed about it.
So I think you said it right. The argument is bullshit. It's the most ridiculous argument a studio could ever make. And I think WB is the last studio to make an argument of audience confusing characters, because you've got the TV shows going on with another Flash, another Superman, and then a couple of other characters who are already on your cinematic universe as well. And you are also planning different movies of the same characters as well. So you're planning another Batman movie. You're planning, I don't know, another Suicide Squad movie, which with the same characters, but a different movie, a different director, and a different.
I mean, there would be literally 3 Batmans in 2022, for fuck's sake. In Flash, it would be Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck, and the Batman movie from Robert Pattinson is coming. It's on I think Earth 2, but I mean, still, if there can be 3 Batman, then I mean, there can be 2 Darkseid also. And why not just hire the same Darkseid person? But I think that's also a little bit confusing for, I mean, one of the things is that it would be confusing for people, but yeah, I'm not buying that argument. I think it's just bullshit.
Do you think Snyder could have hired more famous actors for Darkseid and Steppenwolf, because I think Thanos, one of the reasons Thanos became, I don't know if that is the primary reason. Obviously, it's because Marvel and it's a big bad. They've been teasing since literally 20 movies. But one of the reasons Thanos was also popular because Josh Brolin
Josh
was
Brolin, yeah.
Thanos. If you talk about Justice League, you only know the Justice League members. If nobody knows about Steppenwolf, nobody knows who Darkseid is. If you think, I mean, do you think that if they would have hired probably good or famous actors, then people would have known more about these villains or these characters, and they would have been more interested in the movie? Maybe. I mean, I definitely
mean,
would have been more interested if there
yes
were
and no,
famous
but the
actors.
reason is that Snyder is kind of like not famous, but he's kind of known to give big role or important roles to people who are still unknown. So let's say
Right.
Jason Momoa, if you don't count Game of Thrones, he has repeatedly said that after Game of Thrones, he was literally unemployed for years. He didn't get any jobs. He had so many problems. So Snyder got him this break. For Ray Fisher as a cyborg, that was his literally first role in his career. He's a, I think, theater actor, right? So it's his first role in movies. Wonder Woman Gal Gadot has also said that she was just about to leave US and move back to Israel because she wasn't getting any projects. So Snyder again hired her for Wonder Woman. Ezra Miller, no one knew him also. So if you just see the pattern, I think Snyder is kind of known for hiring people who are still not that much big in, or maybe they haven't got that their recognition or due in movies yet. So if you just continue that pattern, I think Ray Potter as Darkseid, or I think Saren Hines as Steppenwolf makes complete sense, because for him, I think that's the thing, that I think what Marvel does is they hire famous actor and then they say that Josh Brolin is Thanos. But I think what Snyder does is like he hired, like now people know Ray Potter as Darkseid. They didn't go into movie expecting this, we are going to see Ray Potter as Darkseid, but after watching that how menacing and like dangerous or insane the Darkseid looks in the movie, they I think research that, oh, who is the actor behind this Darkseid character. So I think it goes, or it works other way around when it comes to Snyder. So I mean, the Marvel strategy is also not that bad, because I think Pixar is also really, really great making blockbuster movie as well as critical acclaim movie, because their stories are good, but the voiceover are also like really famous actors. So it works on both way. So for children, the characters work, and for adults, the name behind that characters work. That okay, Kristen Wiig is Elsa in Frozen or something like that. So that strategy is not bad, but I think what Snyder is doing is it's like it's his own way. So yeah, I don't have any problem with
No,
that
I think,
also.
yeah, I think that's a valid point. I mean, I'm sure there are people like me, or let's take Hirsch as an example, right? So he's not that into pop culture, or even if he were, he had to take this long of a break. Now, if he's coming back to this kind of movie, if he doesn't know who is the big bad villain, if he doesn't know the actor, if he's never heard the name, he'll be like, okay, what should I watch this movie or not? And of course,
True.
with the previous movies not doing so well, the people would definitely have reservations, about going to see this kind of villain.
Yeah, I mean, before moving to another subject, a couple of fun facts. So the first is that people have seen Thanos. So many people are saying that Darkseid is kind of copy of Thanos. So first thing is, before Infinity War came, Darkseid was already shot, because Justice League was shot in 2016. So I think Darkseid came before Thanos in theatrical run also. And the main thing is, I think the creator of Thanos has in past said that the Darkseid was the inspiration for him to create Thanos. So I think Thanos is actually inspiration, or kind of not, I would not say ripoff, but it's kind of an inspiration. Even the comics from Darkseid, because Darkseid is like the ultimate big bad. And when it comes to MCU, I think Thanos is not the biggest villain. I think they're writing some other characters and some other, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But Thanos was not the only one. So in that way, also in comics and movies, Thanos came after Darkseid. And another fun fact is, I think both of the Infinity War and Endgame Thanos and the Justice League Snyder Cut Darkseid both were created by the same company, Beta Digital. So that's also kind of an interesting that the same company created both of the characters for different movie and different franchisee. but the CGI or the
Yeah.
people working behind the projects were more or less same people. So that's kind of also an interesting thing.
So, and just to correct on the second fact, I mean, when you say created, they actually worked on the digital version of or the visual character
Yeah,
of
it's like a
those two.
mocap, right? Motion
Yeah.
capture.
So I mean, the creators are obviously Jack Kirby and the other people like Stanley and everybody else, but these Veta Digital is a visual effects company or visual supervision company who actually
Yeah,
created.
for live action, they were the
Yeah, for live
company
action.
responsible for these characters.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And going back to the first fact, I mean, even if Thanos is not the big bad of the Marvel, I think this just speaks to how Marvel can, uh, how well they market or they position their
Yeah.
movies, how well they've figured out what people like and what people want in a superhero movie. And even if he's not the biggest or baddest villain in the MCU, we think he is. I mean, we went into Infinity War uh, thinking about, oh, what's going to happen, because this guy is, we've been seeing his glimpses since last uh, 9 or 10 years, and
10
now
years,
he's
yeah.
finally on the screen against the Avengers. Let's see what's going to happen. And we all left Infinity War thinking about, oh, okay, this guy can literally kill half of the people in the world. So
True.
I think that just, I mean, kudos to Marvel, obviously, and they, of course, they are great in what they do. So, but anyway, enough
I
about
have a
DC and
question. I have a
Marvel.
question.
Yes.
This is so overwhelming के ये मूवी देखो, but मैं start कहाँ से करूँ? जैसे कि I mean first movie में Captain.
You have
Very
to
good
decide,
question.
are you a DC guy or Marvel guy? No,
अभी
I'm
तक
kidding.
पता
I mean,
नहीं.
it depends on your mood also. I mean, if you love dark, gritty, R-rated, hardcore superhero movies, then I think
Trying out
DC is a
different and
better
different.
choice.
I mean trying out different things. मैं अलग-अलग चीजें try कर रहा हूँ और जिसमें जो अच्छा लगेगा then try. मतलब दोनों मैं try तो अभी करूँगा.
Yeah.
DC और Marvel दोनों start तो करूँगा.
Yeah, no, I mean,
So-
DC is like a definition of different things. Marvel is kind of a formulaic movie. So from like first to last, almost every movie has a same formula. It's like
अच्छा.
every character is kind of a clown and they make fun of themselves, and they have a, if you don't count Thanos, Marvel has one of the worst problem with villains. They have their third act is really not that great in almost any movies, but because they are so funny and kind of related, so people actually like those kind of movies. And unlike in DC movies, which are, as I said, it's like almost the entire team is an absolute god, so the kind of destruction and violence which you see in DC is like unimaginable on like a real scale. So people don't like this kind of gloomy things where like thousands of people are dying, because like if you watch any big fights in MCU, they are always in, I don't know, like in some
in an abandoned
say-
warehouse.
Exactly. I mean, just like couple of days before, I was watching Godzilla versus Kong with my friend, and I was just joking that if
Hong
this
Kong
was in
scene.
MCU, the fight between them wouldn't be in Hong Kong. It would be in like Sahara Desert or something. So
Oh,
no
I
one
actually
would
have a
die.
theory about it. I was going to I was going to discuss that, but just to answer Harsh's question, because now as much as I like DC, as much as I love DC, I think you should start with Marvel movies, because you've taken a
True,
big
yeah.
break and you want to come back to
Pop culture.
to like superhero movies
Yes.
and to enjoy them. So I think you start with Marvel,
Okay.
but you cannot miss
DC.
Zack Snyder's 3-movie arc. I mean, Man of Steel, BVS, and Justice League. We'll let you know the names in details, but yeah,
Yeah.
start with Marvel. Watch all the Marvel movies in the order of release, not in the order of the universe. I would say in the order of release, because those are very well connected. But then definitely go to the DC side and check those out. So I think that's our suggestion. Okay, so since you said, or you mentioned Godzilla versus Kong, so we both got a chance to watch that, Sarthak and myself, over the last weekend. How did you like it? I mean, I'll go first. So I have not watched Godzilla the first part. I didn't even watch the King of Monsters. I directly watched the third movie. I mean, if you consider Kong Skull Island, it's the
And
fourth
there's
one
a fourth,
in
yeah.
the whole series. But yeah, I from Godzilla's perspective, because the movie is named Godzilla versus Kong, I'm just considering it the third movie in Godzilla or the Monsters universe. So yeah, I liked it. I mean, it's definitely good. There are a couple of scenarios or a couple of sequences where it's just amazing to see these two characters on in one screen and fight it out with each other against each other, should I say? And yeah, I mean it's pretty good. So it's enjoyable. I think that's the word to best
गॉडजिला
describe. the
गॉडजिला
film.
किंग कॉन्ग
It's-
और उसके बीच में फाइट है वो वाला नहीं
yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
हाँ
so agar if you know King Kong, if you know Godzilla,
हाँ
the history is that these guys are ancient enemies, and that's how the movie's set up, and that's how these guys are ultimately the apex predators of the universe that the movies are set in, and these guys are ancient enemies of the Hollow Earth, and that's where this rivalry comes in, and that's where the movie was set up. So
VFX
it's pretty good movie. Harsh, definitely watch it. It's really
Yeah.
enjoyable. It's a popcorn entertainment, if anything. So I don't watch it for the plot or for the character development or for the humans in it. Watch it for the monsters and watch it for the fight
Yeah.
scenes that the Godzilla and Kong has. So
उनमें
yeah, I
VFX
think it's pretty good.
VFX effects बहुत जोरदार होता है ना
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean,
Yeah,
of course,
it's amazing. Yeah.
they were amazing in Kong Skull Island, which I saw half of it. I
Yeah, I
still-
absolutely love that movie.
But yeah, I think the Godzilla versus Kong, good. Yeah, it's a you should watch it if you've been in a lockdown and you've not watched a movie. Then yeah,
And I think it's kind of an achievement that they contain the whole movie in 1 hour 45 seconds. The
Yes,
movie with
yes.
this much plots and fightings, it's kind of amazing. So I would just say that the movie is amazing because they actually exceed or met my expectation. I never went when I started the movie, I was never like this is going to be like Citizen Kane or Godfather kind of
Yes.
thing.
Yeah.
It proved, I mean, it, let's say, surpassed the expectation, but from the popcorn entertainment or kind of like a movie, like a big screen movie kind of thing. So in that way,
Yeah.
it's an amazing movie. And the regular criticism that it's receiving in past week is, I think I have the same criticism that the human characters are underdeveloped. So I mean, they are practically kind of a cameos. That's like
But who cares?
so
like in
again,
Kong
yeah. So
and
that's what I'm
Godzilla
saying.
movies,
Yeah,
who
let's
goes
say from
to watch
reviewer or
live-
critic side. True,
Yeah,
true.
so
No, I mean,
who-
from critic side, they would say, yeah, the like they would go in technical side or like human characters are underdeveloped. But if you go from audience side, the movie is freaking called Godzilla versus Kong. So we are not going
Yeah,
for Millie
of course.
Bobby Brown or Kyle Chandler or something like this. We are going for the fight of the
But-
century or kind of thing, like fight of a lifetime. So in that way, it's an amazing thing, and there are a couple of surprises. So it's also good. Third act is amazing. One of the other thing that I didn't like, not like, but the thing is they showed some really good scenes in trailers, which I absolutely hate
Yeah.
because there are some really good scenes
Oh,
between
there
them
was a
which were
spoiler
already
in the
shown.
trailer as well. There was a
True,
spoiler in
not
the
just
trailer.
spoiler, but yeah, I mean that's the thing because I was watching with my friend and there was a scene where I think Godzilla and Kong first time they are in the on the same like on the screen together, right? But when it was about to happen, if you haven't watched trailer, you wouldn't know. But my friend had watched trailer and he was like, I know now Godzilla would come in this scene. I was like, dude, this is the worst thing. If you know this, then but that's the thing.
Yeah,
Like
of
they, I
course.
think,
Yeah.
showed a little too much in trailers, which is I think problem with Warner Brothers overall because if you
Which
and
is-
any other
yeah.
movies also, if you really want to watch movie, just watch first trailer and never watch any other trailer. This is the way to go because after second, third, and final trailers, sometimes they just show you way too
Okay.
much or a little too much.
Yeah.
So you would just expect those scenes like, okay, I'm just waiting for this scene where this kind of action would come or something like this. So I'm not
It's
that
true.
big of a
Yeah.
fan about that. And one interesting thing is, as far as I know, is that there is a reason that Godzilla and King Kong were never in the same movie because the rights are with different companies. Godzilla is with Warner Brothers and King Kong is with Legendary. So they
Oh,
decided
wow.
10 years ago that they want to make a Monsterverse. That's why. So both Godzilla were from Warner Brothers and Kong Skull Island were from Legendary. But I think just because they decided and they collaborated, just like Spider-Man with Sony collaborated
Yeah,
with
Marvel.
Disney. So they did the same thing. That's why all 4 movies are Warner Brothers plus Legendary. So that's the thing. I think Warner Brothers
Oh,
doesn't have rights for King Kong. That's Legendary
that's good to
property.
know. That's
Yeah.
an interesting
So
fact. Yeah, but
yeah.
yeah, I
I
think
mean, yeah,
you're
it was
right.
amazing. Yeah, it was a like 2 hour well spent, I would say. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So, and yeah, I mean, if possible, just go and watch it on the big screen. So we didn't watch it on the big
True.
screen. We
Yeah.
watched it at our home on streaming. But yeah, definitely watch on the big screen if you get a chance. So that's about Godzilla versus Kong. Did you like the background score of Chunky XL? I liked in a couple of sequences where it was full on action and they were going
True. Yeah.
at each other. But apart from that, I didn't find it that
It's
noticeable or
not
that.
eventful, but it fulfills the
Yeah.
purpose, I would say.
So
Because
I think
unlike
for
movies
me,
in Nolan or like when you hear a soundtrack of Zimmer or something, those soundtracks usually overpower the, let's say, visual aspect. In this
sure,
thing,
yeah.
it just complement the visual aspect instead of overpowering it. So I think
So
I think
yeah, I
fulfills,
mean,
because the thing is the overall visual aspect or scenes are extremely huge. They are literally fighting with each other on like in a full city. So you
yes,
don't want to, let's say, overpower your sense with so much music that you are not concentrated on the fight and the screen itself. So in that way it fulfills the purpose. So I mean, as I said, it's not
but
amazing or eventful that you would, let's say, listen every day on Spotify, but it's also not that bad. It's good, I would say. Yeah, not as
it's
good
not
as Zack
bad.
Snyder's Justice League, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not bad, but I think the good barometer of a soundtrack for me is after watching the movie, if I go on a streaming service to find the soundtracks of that movie, that means that, okay, I liked it. I don't think I would go back. I don't think I would go on Spotify or Amazon Music to find Godzilla versus Kong soundtracks. I don't think that I'll be doing
Yeah,
something like
that's
that. So
true.
if I do that,
Except
that
maybe
means
one
I
or two
liked it.
tunes, I suppose.
Yeah, of course. And again, not that noticeable, so I don't think I'll be listening on those uh,
अगर
ever again.
अगर मूवी मूवी चलो मैं मूवी मूवी तो ये तय हो गया कि डीसी देन मार्वल एंड देन आई मीन सॉरी मार्वल डीसी एंड फिर ये गॉडजिला देखना है. बट अगर मुझे कोई डॉक्यूमेंट्री है या फिर आई मीन कोई
Oh man,
शॉर्ट
this
शॉर्ट
is
शॉर्ट मूवी या फिर
please. I mean,
डॉक्यूमेंट्री
this
या
is a
फिर
different episode altogether. I have so
एक दो
many
एक दो कोई
documentaries to suggest. Okay,
Yeah.
let's do that at the end of the episode
हाँ
because
ठीक
we
है.
would definitely giving we
या
would
फिर
be
कोई
definitely
वेब
giving our
सीरीज कोई
recommendations.
सजेस्ट वेब सीरीज का कोई सजेशन बहुत सारी है.
Yeah, so we'll do that at the end of the episode because I think
You are talking to
both
right
Sarthak and
person.
myself, yeah, I think both of us have a lot of things which we would like to recommend you
Gotcha.
and anybody who's watching. 5 people, by the way. Hello. And okay, so that was Godzilla versus Kong. Honorable mention to Knives Out sequels. I think that was a very pleasant
Yeah.
surprise. I mean, we both. I mean, we all knew that they are working on sequels, not just sequel, multiple sequels, because Ryan Johnson literally wants to create a universe
Kind of a universe. Yeah.
Benoit Blanc's
Yeah.
detective adventures, and all for it because Knives Out was so good. And
Amazing.
just to, I mean, from my end, just to say why I love it so much, because I think it was one of the or maybe the only original movie which we went and see in the theaters in the last couple of years, apart from Tenet. Obviously,
Expect Tenet, yeah.
because it's Nolan. I mean, and Tenet obviously was amazing. But I think before Tenet, Knives Out was the only original movie that we went and saw in the theaters in last couple of years, and everything else we saw were franchise movies or IPs. Sorry,
what is a Tenet?
Okay, so again, Harsh, I think you've got a lot of catch up to do, so we'll speak separately on Tenet and Knives Out. But yeah, Sarthak, what are your thoughts? I mean, so okay, so just so for people who don't know what we are talking about, so Netflix just announced a $450 million deal,
$450 million, yeah.
$450 million deal for 2 sequels of Knives Out, the movie which came out in 2018. If I'm not wrong,
I think
18,
so,
19?
yeah. 18 or
And the
19,
movie was focused around
Mm.
Benoit Blanc's detective adventure of a family, a murder in the family, and it was great. It's just, I think, one of the best mystery
Murder
and,
mystery, who done it?
murder mystery and thriller movie that we've seen in a very long time after Fincher's takes on different mysteries.
मैंने
So,
लास्ट
yeah, I
में
think-
गॉन गर्ल देखा था मिस्ट्री में
And I think
man.
you watched it because मैंने suggest किया था, if I'm not wrong.
उसकी तेरी
Because
book
Gone
भी मेरे
Girl
पास
That's
again-
one of the sickest movie.
It's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's definitely in my top 5. I watch it every now and then along with Social Network. So I mean,
मैंने
yeah,
सोशल
Fincher for the
नेटवर्क वो
win.
डॉक्यूमेंटरी भी देखी नहीं सोशल डिलेमा देखा मैंने वो तो वेब सीरीज आई मीन
Yeah,
डॉक्यूमेंट्री
that's
है
a good.
Yeah, that's a documentary.
That's a pretty good documentary. Yeah. So
Yeah, just-
Knives Out, Sarthak.
I mean, I was pleasantly surprised that the sequels are worth that much money. I mean, 450 million is
Yes.
fucking insane. But the
Yeah.
other thing is, this money is still just for rights. They still have to make money. So let's say the movie costs 70,
budget.
80 millions per movie. So that's like 150 million more. So 600 million for just 2 movies. I think the right, probably that means that right also includes the first movie. Then the all 3 movie would be, or the entire thing would be exclusive to Netflix. Yeah, but I'm pretty much speechless. 450 million is way too much. I mean, Netflix has money, so they are just spending it like anything else.
I mean,
I
good
really
for
don't
Ryan
have any
Johnson,
words, but
right? Good for Ryan Johnson for
one also for
coming
fans of Daniel Craig, right? Because he's just about to leave one of the biggest franchise in the world, James Bond, and he just got into another franchise. So we are gonna see him in let's say in the same role in couple of other movies. So
But
it's good.
you
I
know
mean,
what? I love Craig as Bond, no doubt. Definitely he's up there with Pierce Brosnan because Pierce definitely just defines style and that chic Bond persona. But I loved Craig. But to be honest, the movies that I love of Daniel Craig are outside of Bond, which is Logan Lucky and Knives Out. I think those two Craig performances are so good. And
I mean, there is something about Daniel Craig speaking in Southern accent, which
in
is
Southern
just
accent,
amazing.
exactly. I was just going to mention that because in both of those movies, he's a Southern gentleman speaking
British guy
very,
speaking in Southern accent is just something else.
And it's always fun watching British actors try these kind of accents.
Yeah.
So.
And it's funny that it only works in one way, right? Not the other way around. Like you don't see American people trying British accent, but British people can do anything. So that's also a thing. They can do Irish, Scottish, American, Southern, anything, but Americans are like just, let's say, constrained to only American accent or maybe Southern accent, some other accent. But yeah.
Yeah, so I think very, very excited about those sequels. I mean, can't wait what Ryan Johnson does with
for sure.
The second Knives Out. And of course, it has to have a stellar cast, just like the first one, because first one had Ana de Armas, Chris Evans, Don Johnson, Michael Shannon, who was the person who died, who actually replaced Kevin Spacey.
Christopher Plummer, I think. Christopher Plummer, right?
So, and Tony Collette from Australia.
I forgot her name. She was in Friday the 13th also.
Jamie Lee Curtis. So
Jamie
literally
Lee Curtis,
everyone from the cast, you know the name. Catherine Langford from 13 Reasons Why.
Yeah, from 13 Reasons Why.
So what a cast. I mean,
it's absolutely jam-packed cast. Yeah.
Yeah. So if the
also
sequel
Lucky
comes
Sheffield or something like that, right? His name. He was also
yeah. Oscar nominee, by the way. First time Oscar nominee for Best Supporting Actress in Judas and the Black
Messiah.
I mean, the cast was amazing. So yeah, so amazing, I think, and also I saw in the article that they should be announcing the cast pretty soon because they are planning to start filming in June.
Probably so because I think the movie is most about writings, right? So if Ryan Johnson is finished with writing, is now just casting and starting pre-production. So
Yeah.
it wouldn't take that long, because the entire movie depends on a great writing or a great story, which would take more than filming the movie itself, I suppose, because that's the most important thing. If it's like again a whodunit, I think I'm 99.99% sure it would be like this. Like in
It is.
last
Yeah.
5 or 10 minutes, you would know that who is the killer or whatever the crime was committed. So for that, you need a really airtight story with so much conviction also. So I think, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure about Ryan Johnson because he nailed the first movie. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the movie. It's just the ridiculous price tag that comes with the entire franchise. It just blew my mind. That's it.
But should it be okay? So my question is, should it still be considered an original movie if now it's converted into a 3-movie franchise?
Yeah, sure. Because the original movie concept is, I suppose, that it hasn't been, let's say, derived from any other pop culture reference, books, comics, graphic novels, or anything else, right? If it's completely original, let's say if you make Tenet 2 or Inception 2, it would be still original, right? Because the main baseline or base story was original. So I think the characters has to be the original creation of the writer or director. If that's those are original, then I think you can make as many movies as you want. I mean, we have seen so many horror comedies, right? So those are the best example. So you can just, I think, I think I suggested you the last one. Yeah, Death Day to You. And then I saw another horror comedy. I think it's a Netflix exclusive. I think the first name is The Babysitter and the second is The Babysitter, The Killer Queen. So I think both are original concept. But again, horror comedy. It's just full on violence, R-rated, but it's like you see death, but it's like a Tarantino death. So you would be happy to see someone die, or like too happy to see someone bleed. It's kind of that. So like Freaky or Death Day kind of thing.
So, are you saying that Rohit Shetty's Golmaal movies are original movies?
I decline.
Are you saying that he is one of the most prolific directors in Bollywood who creates original contents for us and has given us
Chennai Express.
four or five? I've lost count. It's so shitty. I've lost count. 4 original movies to the audience.
Well, he's basically Michael Bay of Bollywood, right? So let's just leave it at that.
Yeah. Okay.
It just,
fair point.
If you know Michael Bay, then I just gave you the whole thing. So just
and
Wikipedia.
Speaking of Michaels, if you got the reference in the first minute, then you guys are amazing. If you didn't, then shame on you.
You should leave.
Yeah, kill yourself. So anyway, so that was okay. Knives Out, and I think now to the interesting part where maybe Harsh could also get some insights from us. We've both watched something which we haven't told each other in the last week, and you start. Sathak, just go. What did you watch which we haven't discussed about in the last week?
Well, I've seen a movie which I've already seen before, but you were like hammering me about this movie for past couple of months, or let's say past 6 months. So I watched The Big Short yesterday again.
Oh yes, yes.
And I saw another series from Netflix. It's called The Sex Education. I think it's Sex Education. Yeah, it's also freaking amazing. So I don't know. I was just
let's go back to Big Short. How did you like? Okay.
I have already seen it, but the thing is, it's been so much time between my first viewing and this second viewing that even though I knew the outline of the story, I kind of forgot the, let's say, minute details of the movie, like some of the ridiculous things that were in the movie. So
Ryan Gosling steals the movie for me. Ryan Gosling is
for me it's more of a Christian Bale thing.
I know, yeah. So of course, Michael Burry, Christian Bale's character, is the center of the story because he figured out that there's a bubble in the real estate and in the economy itself.
True, yeah.
It's going to burst and it's going to just make a lot of people out of jobs and ruin lives and everything. But he's the center of the story. I don't doubt it. But for me, when you watch The Big Short, I mean, I'm not talking about the actual story, but when you watch the movie, I think Ryan Gosling has
Yeah.
absolutely.
I mean, you can say Christian Bale is the brain of the movie, but Gosling is the heart of the movie because
He's the face
he
and the heart and the humor of it. Because I know Steve
true,
Carell
true.
is in it. Steve Carell's one of the funniest
It's like a
guys in
entire
Hollywood, of
different
course.
spectrum because he's not funny at all. It's like dead serious. He's
But
like
in
on
the
a
movie, yeah.
crusade to right everything wrong in the world. So
So yeah, so Harsh,
it's,
The Big Short. I'm not sure. So of course, तूने सुना होगा कि in the 2000s in US the economy collapsed because we came to know that there was a very big real estate bubble in the US economy. So there were people taking mortgages on the mortgages, and it was double. So it was called subprime mortgage
subprime
crisis.
market.
Because these mortgage is a loan, so these house loans were just shit. They were not credible at all, and every single bank or every single banking agent were giving out these loans or these mortgages to anybody who needed it. And when I say anybody, the best example in the movie they've shown is a stripper having 4 houses or of her own based on 4 different house loans. So if a stripper can get a house loan on 4 different houses, then you can imagine banks don't care about anything. They just care
There's a
about
better example in the movie. One house is on the name of the landowner's dog. So I think dog is the
yes.
owner of the house.
So when bank gave out the loan, they didn't even care about whose name is it on the paper. And when the people who were inquiring to the occupier, and they said, "Oh, is Mr. X here?" And the person who answered the door, he was like, "Oh, you're looking for my owner's dog." And then they realized, oh, so this house is registered, or the mortgage is registered in the name of the owner's dog. So yeah, so I think that's a better example as well.
Yeah, I mean, mortgage is
So-
more or kind for like Indians, it's the home loan. In US,
It's a
it's
house
called
loan,
mortgage.
yeah.
So yeah.
So okay, so there are 4 or 5 people separately figure out that there's a bubble in the economy, and
True.
then they start shorting the loans. And when I say short,
Yeah.
they start selling the loans, which you
They're
do on the
betting
stock
against
market.
the thing.
Yeah, which you do on the stock market. If you know that the price is going to fall heavily,
पहले
you
सेल
start
करते हैं and then
selling
फिर buy
first,
करते हैं.
and when the price drops, you buy them
Hmm.
at bulk. And that's why it's called the Big Short, because it's the biggest sell that these guys have ever made in their.
Surprisingly, you would understand the movie better because you, as you said, you just saw Scam 1992, right? So it's kind of a surprising gateway for you to. I mean, it's more complicated in Big Short. I mean, there are literally definitions in the movie, so it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still a little bit on the fence about some things, but at least I now know better than before I started watching movie. At least now I know 60-70% of the bullshit that were in the US economy. But the most surprising thing for me, I mean, I already knew about this, but the most surprising, or let's say most fucked up thing about the movies, that you are really enjoying the movies, like it's like a comedy kind of thing or docu-series kind of thing. But when you realize that almost every single detail is true, then it's absolutely horrifying that how can people do this. And also how can I say it? To just say against the people who were betting against the real estate bubble is that US capitalism is so bad that before that people were making money from the fake mortgages, and then other people made some other money by betting against those people who were betting with mortgages. So in US you can success with like you can have success with like betting on something, and other people can have success by betting against
Betting
the
on
people who are betting on the money. So that's the most fucked up thing I've ever seen.
Such a good movie. Adam McKay.
Yeah.
He's a master of satire and this kind of.
One more thing that
Yeah.
I kind of forget is that Big Short is R-rated. I completely forgot about that.
And
I mean,
it has to be, because
True.
the
No,
frustration
I was
that every
pleasantly
character
surprised
has.
that I forgot that detail, because almost all the movies from Adam McKay are comedy, but they are PG-13. So like Anchorman 1, 2, and almost any other movies or projects are all.
Not Vice. Have you seen Vice? It's not.
No, I
it's
haven't
not-
seen Vice.
it's not R-rated.
I think then when yeah, okay, maybe when it comes to real life story or drama, I think he goes R-rated. But when it's pure comedy, he surprisingly keep it in PG-13, which is like the other way around for every other studio.
Yeah, so I think that's the suggestion from our side.
What is R-rated?
So R-rated is where you can say fuck any number of times in a movie,
Okay.
and there's also, I think, frontal nudity.
Okay.
I mean, it
Violence,
depends on the
nudity,
story.
and language. All three
Yeah,
are the
it
if there
depends on
are.
the story and the director. So a lot of directors say that I make an R-rated movie. They only focus on the language or violence. But then there are other directors who are also making R-rated movies. It's not more about the violence or the language. It's more about the visuals and the nudity. So it's like the adult movie. Above 18 only you can see an R-rated version movie. So,
Fun fact: if
yeah,
you have two fucks in a movie, then it's PG-13. But if you say fuck third time, then it's R-rated.
yes. So this podcast is R-rated. If you would have said fuck only 2 times, then this would have been a PG-13 podcast. So anyway, that's beside the point. But yeah, I think The Big Short, a great recommendation and great suggestion. So Harsh, note that down. You have to watch it. You have to watch it before even starting the superhero marathon. You have to watch this.
Sure.
How was Sex Education? How was that?
I mean, the thing is, I mean, I knew that there is a sex in the name, right? So I was kind of expecting it, but I mean, fucking hell, it was amazing. Not just from the sex point of view, because the thing is, the entire story is with teenagers, right? So it's literally about sex education. The people have so many doubts about so many things regarding their like sexual activities and day-to-day thing. And the main thing is let's say not protagonist, but the main person who is the teenager, the guy, his mother is sex therapist. So in that way, in his home, everything is like pretty open to talk about and everything. So
Gillian Anderson?
Gillian Anderson, yeah, exactly. I was, let's say I was 2 years old when I came to know that she was British. I thought she was American. Because the series... Yeah, that's why I thought that Crown went another way, like with Renée Zellweger and Bridget Jones. They hired American to do British, but I didn't know that she's already British.
I've not seen
so that's also a thing, because the Sex Education is based in Britain, right? So the entire cast is British. And I think it's one of the most diverse cast I've ever seen. And I think the best thing is Netflix has never advertised that how diverse the cast is and so many other things. They just went ahead with the storyline. And I mean, it is amazing. There are 2 seasons and third is, I think, coming probably this year or maybe next year because of Corona.
I just read somewhere that they finished 3rd season filming just
probably
recently.
Because the 2nd season was in January 2020. So it's already been 15 months since 2nd season.
Yeah,
but
so
I mean, it is really good. I mean, if you are like a really prudish person, then yeah, it would be probably a shock for you. I mean, the series literally start with nudity. Like the first scene is complete sex scene. So, but if I mean, for me, it's not that much important because the storyline is amazing. Character development is really good. I mean, in a way, it's a comedy drama. But there are also some really, let's say, important subjects about different things that women faces day to day, which we just don't know, or we don't care. And I wouldn't say don't care, but we just don't know how, let's say, frequently they get harassed on bus, or like normally how they are being talked to or something like this, and how detrimental is to one's mental health or physical health also. And yeah, there are also, I mean, it's literally kind of a learning curve for you if you don't know anything. It's literally, I mean, the name is pretty apt that, yeah, I mean, it literally educates you in so many other things. But yeah, I absolutely loved it. And one of the plus point was that the actress in the series looks exactly like Margot Robbie. So that's also kind of a talking point for many people. I think her name is Emma McKay or something. So yeah, I mean, the entire series, let's say 95% cast is 16 or 17 years teenagers. And then Gillian Anderson and a couple of like headmaster of school and a couple of faculties or something. But yeah, it's an amazing series, I would say. I mean, I would highly recommend it. It's great.
So anyway, I was looking to start something new this long weekend because we've got Easter. So yeah, I think I'll start that tomorrow for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. Harsh, anything from your end? कुछ नया देखा तूने break के बाद? Anything that you want to?
मैंने
Scam
तो
1992, of course,
हाँ
सबने. I mean, I don't think anybody in India, I mean, of our age group would have missed it
yes.
because it was so much talked about and it's so good and so
Yeah.
memeable as well. And the title track itself is so catchy that everybody would have seen it by now. So anything
Yeah.
else? Harsh?
लूडो देखा मैंने उसके बाद
Okay.
Yes.
Anurag Basu.
अनुराग बासु
Also, my recommendation, Harsh, you should say who recommends you these movies. I did.
हाँ आई मीन तूने हिरक ने ही रिकमेंड किए थे और फिर मैंने 2 और मूवी देखे एक तो सोशल डिलेमा
No, if
मैंने
you have Netflix, you can just carry on with AK versus AK and Paglet and all the new Hindi movies that are coming with rave reviews, I suppose.
It's a good wave of Hindi films that we are getting, I would say.
It's surprising that
of course,
Prime is absolute leader in the web series, but when it comes to movies, Netflix is better.
it's getting good. Ludo, I think, was the first Hindi movie I saw in a very, very long time. I would say in 1.5 years, I think that was the first Hindi movie which I saw.
Okay.
And that was Ludo, and loved it. And I think that's why I recommended it to Harsh. So pretty good.
I watch Hindi movie,
Night
but yeah, I mean, if you see that entirely new movie, yeah, I mean, besides AK versus AK, Ludo, I usually watch Hindi movies which I already like. So I mean, again, the cult favorites, Dil Chahta Hai, Swades, Jab Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara. This is like my roster, Lakshya. These are like 4 or 5 films which I see every 2 or 3 months. Other than that, I rarely try any new Hindi movies. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't blame me for that.
No, it's the industry. It's not us. It's
Yeah.
वॉच लिस्ट में मेरे एक तो एक थप्पड़ पड़ा है थप्पड़ जो
Yeah, it's amazing. Thappad I also watched. It's I think one of the best movie in last 5 or 10 years. I would say it's one of the best movie.
थप्पड़ एंड खुदा हाफिज मैंने शायद बात की थी हिरक से बट उससे याद नहीं था खुदा हाफिज वो कौन था यार
I mean,
नाम भूल
I
गया मैं
would say
उसका बट
first take a couple of reviews and then watch it because you've got so many things to watch. Don't just waste your 2.5
Yeah,
or 3
start
hours.
with Thappad. Thappad is so good.
Bollywood movies are like black holes. So if you started 3 hours would go by with 15 fucking songs in it, and then you would say, oh, why did I even watch this? This is bullshit. I just wasted 3 hours of my life. So don't watch Khuda Hafiz before. I mean, I've not watched it. I don't think Satak has. So we can't say how is it. It might be very good. It might be something that we've missed, but please go after the reviews. Thappad, I think
The thing is, we usually go with directors. So there are like if you go with Anurag Kashyap, Vikramaditya Motwani, Dibakar Banerjee, Anurag Basu, if you go with this directors, usually you won't be disappointed. You know what exactly is coming. You can expect what is going to be there in those movies. So in that way, I mean, yeah, it's more of a cinephile thing. But yeah, I mean, if you just know 2 or 3 directors' name and if you just go to their entire filmography, you won't be disappointed. Like if you go through Anurag Basu, I think I haven't watched Bombay Velvet, but other than that, his every single movie is amazing. Yeah.
And next watch list is Falcon Winter Soldier जो
Winter
अभी आया
Soldier.
है।
Yeah.
हाँ, जो अभी आया है।
again
Yeah.
don't watch it before completing Marvel movies. So that's and it's not a must watch. You can just complete it.
Yeah, and distancing myself with the entire this web series thing from Disney Plus.
Yeah, it's not.
It's just a bait.
I think Loki would be the first one which I'd start watching. But
I'm actively spoiling myself with all the spoilers, so I don't have to watch it. I'm just
same here. I don't watch the episode. I watch directly the analysis, so I don't have to spend 20
I mean, I
minutes
haven't seen or read so much about WandaVision, but yeah, I mean, you know my let's say contempt for Anthony Mackie. So yeah, I'm not watching Winter and Falcon. So then I hate that actor for some reason.
We share the same hatred for Anthony Mackie, even though he's done nothing wrong with us, and even though he's a good.
He's probably a good actor, but
yeah, he's a good actor.
I will always hate him for fucking up Alter Carbon. So yeah, I'm not forgiving him for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I've not seen Alter Carbons, but I still hate him because I have to. Anyway, so okay, so Ludo from Harsh, Big Shot from Sarthak. Now, what I'm so I'm just getting so giddy to share what I watched over the last week, and it's a reality TV show. I know I don't usually watch reality TV.
Okay, I'm going now.
Big Boss.
Uh,
You
it's a
know
show on Netflix.
how much I
It's
hate
a show on
reality shows.
Netflix, and it's called Marriage versus Mortgage, and it's
Oh, for
amazing.
fuck's
It's
sake!
so good. It's so good. It's fucking, oh my god. I cannot wait to shit on it because I'll tell you the name suggests it's very
Hmm.
apparent, right?
Hmm.
There's a
Yeah.
couple at the beginning of every episode, and it's set in Nashville, Tennessee. So it's not set
Oh
in
my.
LA or New York, and which is
So
very,
couple could be cousins also.
oh wow, who knows? Who knows, right? It's the southern roots, anyway. So so yes, so and I think it's a very smart decision. I'm not sure if it's a decision or if it was always supposed to be set up in Nashville, but it's good because if you were a couple in LA or New York, I don't think you would even be thinking of not buying a home and going for a wedding. I don't think there would be an option for. But again, it's America. It's the US. I mean, we know what we think about US.
Is it?
But anyway,
I mean, does it fall under the category that like it's so bad that it's good? Is it that
it's
kind of
so
show?
bad that it's good. It's so bad that it's so good that you have to watch it. So there's a couple in the beginning of every episode with like $20,000 or $30,000 of a budget, and they come to a bureau or of with two. There are two ladies. One is a marriage or a wedding planner, and the second one is a real estate agent. So the couple would come to these two ladies. They would tell their needs to them, that they want this much, these many amenities in the house, and these are the requirements. And on the other end, they would also tell them these are the things they want in their wedding. And then they would state their budget, that, oh, we've got 20,000 or 30,000 to work with, and we could either go and buy a fucking house, which is a lifelong investment, which is their forever home for a lot of couples in the US because it's so fucking expensive. So they could either go and buy a house with this down payment. Of course, they can't buy a house in 30,000, but this is a big down payment for them. Or they don't buy a house and they go for a wedding, which is just a 1 day affair, which is just a few hours of a celebration, and $30,000 on a wedding. And I can't believe I'm saying this. 90% of the couples chose wedding. 90% of the couples chose wedding. At the end of every episode, it was such a good twist. At the end of every episode, you would be on the edge of your seat, hoping that they would select house or that they would choose house, and they would say, oh, we've had a lot of thoughts about it, we've had sleepless nights over it, and we choose wedding over a
Oh.
house. And it's so good. I'll tell you one couple which is, and that captures, or that just literally reflects what the American culture is, right? And this is mostly our age. I wouldn't say our age group, but it's because people don't get married there very
Young age.
early
Hmm.
in life. It's mostly midlife people in their 30s or 40s, mostly
Mhm.
that range of people. And then there was definitely a couple of couples within our age group. So there was a couple who got engaged, and they were, I think, 23 or 24. They got engaged. They are not even living together right now, even after engagement. And it's, first of all, that there itself should be the reason why they should buy a house after getting married. They don't live together. They live at their parents' home even after engagement. They only meet when they want to. They have $30,000 from their parents, not of their own savings,
Hmm.
from their parents, and they have come to this bureau asking, should we go for a wedding or should we go for a house? And their parents have given them this money. So you can imagine, as a as a couple, as a newlywed, what would you want more? A house from your parents' money or just a wedding? They chose wedding. And imagine, at the end of the episode, they always write that, oh, because they chose wedding after 3 months, they had their dream wedding, or because they chose house after a couple of months, they finally moved into their dream home. In this episode, they wrote that yes, because they chose wedding after 3 months or after a couple of days or a couple of weeks, they got their dream wedding, and they continue to live with their parents after the wedding separately. What the fuck? I mean, this is what this show is about, and that is
This
why
is not even guilty pleasure. This is just fucking dumb.
this is just outright stupidity, just borderline fucking.
No, I mean, so this series contains not just one, like more than 2 or 3 things that I hate, like reality shows, this
Oh,
kind of a
everything.
fake, like say couple thing, and also spending money on wedding, which I
I'll tell
absolutely
you
despise.
why. So I'll tell you why I started watching it. So the reason I started watching this was simply because I was so bored after watching so many documentaries and so many
That
real
can't be
life
a reason.
stories. Again, I'll come back.
You are
but
just now, let's say, defending yourself for watching this shit thing.
no, but it was so
There
interesting.
can be no excuse for this.
So I saw the title and the trailer, and it was like, we're a couple, we are newly engaged, and we've got this much. And so I started watching the first episode. And the reason I continued watching it was for those two ladies who were pitching the wedding or the house. And I literally just saw this whole series, the whole show, for the sales pitch. I literally just watched it for the sales pitch. Oh my God. The reason, I mean, if you're a real estate agent, you would think it's pretty easy for you to sell a house because you're getting a dream house of 3 bedroom, 2 bath, 2 bedroom, 2 bath, fully furnished in $30,000 as a down payment, and you can continue on a mortgage. And you are literally selling a forever home to a couple. And my reason for watching was, oh, but what does the wedding lady say as a sales pitch that can even compete to a house sales pitch? And I would say that lady crushed it. That lady crushed so hard. That's why 5 out of 6 couples chose wedding. Oh, I mean, it's such a good
But
show.
it can also be said that the couples were plain dumb, right? Like you can
Oh,
sell
yeah.
the shit out of any wedding thing, but how can you
No,
be
I'll
so
tell
dumb
you.
that you would choose money with like your wedding instead of a, I don't know, like a
No, I'll tell
home
you
or
the
house?
dirty tactics they tried, both of them, right? Not just the wedding lady, but the real estate agent as well. What would they do is in the first 15 minutes of the episode, they would gather so much personal information about the couple that, oh, your dad died, oh, your mother died, oh, you have a very close relationship with your mother who's already alive and you want to stay with her, oh, you have a very close relationship, or you had such a relationship with this person in your life. And they would go to any lengths to incorporate that person or that relationship into the wedding or a house. So I'll tell you one example. One of the couples, the to-be bride's dad was a chef, and I think he died a few years ago, or maybe when she was young. The real estate agent, just to make the couple emotional, what she did was she asked for the handwritten recipes from her dad and placed those recipes on a photo frame in the kitchen where she was showing house. So when the couple
Yeah.
entered the kitchen, the girl literally burst into tears just by watching her dad's recipes on the island, on the kitchen island. And that is how shameful these two ladies are, just to sell their, or just to earn the commission. The other part is, how did the wedding lady incorporate her dad? So when they went for the dress shopping, which is a very big part of the wedding, the bride's dress, of course they can't incorporate her dad in the dress or anything, but she created, or she had a handkerchief with her dad's name embroidered on it, and she gave that handkerchief to the bride. And then on the dress rehearsal, the bride started crying so much. So these are the tactics that these two ladies would play just to sell the house or the wedding. And
I hate
can't.
this kind of emotional manipulation. Even
It's
in
everywhere.
advertising, I hate
Every
these
single
things.
episode. In every single episode, in
Yeah.
every single house or every single venue of the wedding they go to, the manipulation is there. There's a slideshow playing of their family. There's a memorabilia of the family member who died. or there's a photo of the memory of the member who died. So everywhere the the these two bitches, the manipulation that they played was so good, and that's why I stuck to it, and that's why I finished it in 2 days. So that's my recommendation.
I would just say if you are not drunk or high, any other reason for starting this series is not valid. From what I've heard from you.
I was neither drunk nor high, but I was just bored. I mean, just
Yeah, that's not a
Bold
reason.
enough to try a different thing.
When you have so many other like amazing things to watch and you start watching this kind of shit thing,
Bro,
it just makes me furious. Especially
I'm
because you're my brother.
I'm telling you, if you start this, you're going to love this. And
Whenever this happens with my friends, also sometimes I say that just start just start watching Breaking Bad or something, and my friend would like, okay, yes, and then I call in like after a couple of days, he would be like, I just started watching this series called Six or something. I was like, what is Six? He's like, the wallpaper of the I was on Amazon Prime and the wallpaper looks really cool. Like there was a girl with a gun, so I like the wallpaper. So I started the movies. I was like, the fuck, dude! I just gave you the like a research analysis thing that you can watch this. I have watched this. There are so much critical reviews and this and that, and then you just started watching some random shit because you like the wallpaper.
But bro, I'm telling you, and I'm not even joking. I think you should watch this. I think you should definitely watch it for a couple of things to know what US couples and their mentalities and the American culture is.
There is no way in
know how
hell I'm
dumb and
watching this
stupid
shit.
to know how dumb and stupid those people are, and to also know those sales pitches and see how people can just do anything to earn the commission that they want. And it's so good. It's amazing. Yeah. So that's
Yeah, but I mean, you know, right, that I don't watch reality shows at all.
yeah. Even I think this
Not
was
just
the
this
very-
kind of. I hate everything from like Indian Idol to all the bullshit that's
So this
going
was the
on.
first reality show
TVs.
that I ever watched, if I'm not wrong. I don't think I've watched
I don't
any
think so.
reality
You watch some realities. You love real estate, so you watch some real estate shit. I know.
So real estate, yes, I love real estate because and again, I don't love real estate for the drama and the reality and all that around it. I love it because of the sales pitches and the new architecture and the design of the homes or the location of the homes, and to see how much it's worth and to see how people can sell these costly mansions and places to people. And
Then just subscribe to Architecture Digest or something and stop watching this shit.
I regularly visit that website and their YouTube channel, but yeah, I think I would say that's my guilty pleasure. So please.
Yeah, I mean, I can totally understand. Everyone has some guilty pleasure. So
what's yours?
I'm so guilty, so I'm not even gonna tell what is my guilty pleasure.
You have to. I've
Oh, hell no.
just exposed myself with so much information. What is your guilty pleasure?
I've been living here in Germany for past like 5 years, so I've become more and more private person. So I'm not sharing any other details about it.
Okay, I think
I mean, I would just say genre. I mean, I like. It's so corny. I like how can you say, very simple romantic dramas.
Okay.
They are
so
such a sheer
that's
time pass.
embarrassing enough. I think that's embarrassing enough for you to admit.
Not the
that
Hindi
you
one, but
do
the
like
Bollywood,
rom-com.
the Hollywood one.
Yeah, the Hollywood ones. Yeah, I'm not.
But I
I'm
don't
not
watch
saying-
any like. It's exactly like Raj from Big Bang Theory. Like I didn't watch. I watched Bridget Jones' Diary or
But
something
he's
few months
but
ago.
he's a hopeless romantic. You are not. I don't think you are. So
I'm not,
that's why
but for
you
some
like
reason I just like. I mean, I don't try so many other new romantic dramas. I just watch the dramas that I watched again and again.
okay, so all right,
Again,
so
not like
both-
the 50 Shades or not that kind of thing. I'm talking more about like Notting Hill or the Notebook thing, which are actually good.
the crazy stupid
Crazy
loves
stupid love kind of thing.
of-
True.
yeah.
But it's still rom-com, right?
Yeah, it
I'm
is.
more
It
in
is
like
good.
drama.
I'm not saying it's embarrassing, but I think mine is more embarrassing than yours. But
No, the thing is, the amount of time that I usually give before starting something new, when it comes to this genre, I'm like, I never search anything. Like, I'm not that much particular about it. Let's say I don't go to Rotten Tomatoes and Metascore or something. If I like, especially in this genre, for me, the most important thing is actor or actress. I have to like at least one of them. Then it's good to go.
So I think
I
you
don't
would
care
like
about story.
Baghi, Sarthak. I think you would like Baghi as well. You have 3 parts to
I-
watch. From.
I
It's a
specifically
romantic-
said only English movies.
It's a romantic comedy,
No Bollywood
action,
movies.
drama filled with so many good songs with Tiger Shroff
No.
and
No, but I
whoever
mean,
is-
for example, if you go with Richard Curtis movies, right? He's like a legend in British cinema when it comes to romantic dramas with
Yeah.
like Four Weddings and Funeral. Then I think Notting Hill. You also wrote Bridget Jones' first movie, which was actually good. And also the one with this, I forgot his name, Domhnall Gleeson, and I think Rachel McAdams. You know, there is a
In Time.
romantic
About
drama
Time.
with sci-fi twist, right?
About Time.
About Time, yeah. That was also, I think he wrote that. I think he also directed that movie. And also
I
this
did not
one, the
watch it.
Christmas one. About Time is amazing. I watched it at least 3 or 4 times. It's like one of my most favorite because it's like a sci-fi romantic comedy drama. Those
Okay.
words never mixed together.
So then
So
I
and
think next
specifically,
week
I
have
like
to
British
watch-
dramas for some reason. British dramas are amazing. Americans are sometimes too corny. So, for some reason, British romantic comedy or romantic dramas are good because like 90% of they are R-rated. So they are like very unfiltered thing, and like it looks very realistic instead of, let's say, American thing. Sometimes American dramas are more like Bollywood movies, you know, not like songs, but it's like really corny.
Okay, you don't have to explain yourself now. I think
मुझे याद आ रहा है
हर्ष,
मैंने
I told you.
2016 या I mean, मुझे याद नहीं 2016 2015 में मैंने डेक्स्टर स्टार्ट किया था और
so good.
उसके साथ सिनोबले वो पता है सिनोबले आई डोंट नो आई प्रोनाउंसिंग इट राइट बट शिनोबले आई मीन
Chernobyl.
केमिकल हाँ चेर्नोबिल
Chernobyl, okay.
हाँ,
Nobel.
चेर्नोबिल वो मैंने स्टार्ट किया था बट मैं कंप्लीट नहीं कर पाया था क्योंकि
There's like
So-
6 episodes. How can you not complete
6
it?
episodes. It's literally just 6 episodes. How can you not complete Chernobyl?
But
And it's so
hey,
good. It's so
Maybe because of the genre. I
Edge
mean,
of the Sea.
people don't like that kind of grim thing, right?
और ऑटोबायोग्राफी
Anyway, but
में ऑटोबायोग्राफी भी मैंने मूवी में भी मैंने जो मैकडोनल्ड्स की जो ऑटोबायोग्राफी थी ना
Michael
the
Keaton, right?
founder.
हाँ
The founder.
फाउंडर फिर एप्पल की तो सबने देखी है फिर मैंने ब्लैक आई मीन वो पता है वो टेक्नोलॉजी के बारे में कोई था ब्लैक के ऊपर
Black Mirror.
ब्लैक मिरर यस हाँ वो मैंने 2 सीजन ही देखे हैं बस वो जो सारे बाकी है वो कंप्लीट करूंगा
How the fuck did you finish Black Mirror and not Chernobyl? Black Mirror is like probably the grimmest show I've ever seen. It's so
Yes,
depressing.
Nathan,
It's like there is not a single positive thing about any episode.
yeah, there's no happy ending in any of
It's like literally Pitch Black series.
Of course.
and suits
Except San Junipero. That's like the best episode.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
and
Okay.
suits भी
Alright,
देखा है
I think
मैंने
we've-
suits कैसा है
Suits is pretty good, especially in like let's say 4 or
First
5
four.
season, and then I think it just more like style over substance kind of thing. And like for some reason, for last 1 or 2 season, it became R-rated. Same way the Mr. Robot became R-rated because both were on USA channel, and I think all of a sudden they just decided that you can say fuck now. So Suits last season had so many fucks. Same with Mr. Robot's final season, and it's so jarring because before then there was no there every time they just say shit, bullshit, or damn, and now they are talking every time with fuck. So it was kind of a jarring because if you just change the entire tone of the characters after like because Suits was like for 9 seasons, so like for 8 season people just say bullshit, and then for 9 season everyone is like fuck off. So what is going on?
This is like Infinity War. It's PG-13, and then Endgame. Everybody's shitting themselves with fuck. What's happening? It's like changing
true.
the characters after so many years. Just so you.
Mr. Robot was same, right? It had like 3 season or 4 season, but still Mr. Robot last season was also alright. They just not just they added something, but they just casually starting saying fuck in almost every sentence. It's like they just got like a freedom to say it, so they are just gonna say it. It doesn't
which is
even
not
matter.
a good, which is not a good decision, definitely for anybody.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there with that cable network USA, but I think yeah, that was one thing.
Okay, I think we had a pretty interesting discussion and we covered a lot of things.
Yeah.
I mean, Snyder Cut, Godzilla, Knives Out, Guilty Pleasures, Marriage versus Mortgage. I Please watch it, guys. I mean, you have to, and any other recommendations that we got. And yeah, uh, I think that's it. So thank you again for the 5 people that are still watching us and that are still listening to this. So we'll try to have more episodes like this in future where we gather more information and where we have more to talk about these kind of movies and recommendations that we have. So, all right, that's it. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah. Bye, guys.
Bye guys.
Peace.